Hello, hello! Welcome back to Brenda's Books. I hope this episode finds you healthy and happy and safe during this insane time in the world. I sincerely do. And I hope you can sit back and relax and enjoy these next couple of chapters of Sara's War. Here we go. Chapter 24. Cruel. I step outside into the crisp morning air. The sun has just fully come up over the horizon. I gaze over the distant mountains, which still hold a faint glow. Randy and I are each dragging a medical supply cart behind us, down the cement runway, leading away from relief. We continue on the cement path, circling a small grass area, until we reach a dirt road where there's a long line of idle military buses and trucks, and a throng of people who are busy carrying and loading items. We continue on the dirt path until we reach the camo truck with the large red cross. "I'll go get the rest," says Randy. "I think it'll just be one more load." "All right, thanks, Randy," I say. I double-check all the boxes to make sure they're labeled before I load them. In the corner of my eye, I see a short shadow appear. I look up to see Nate standing on the dry grass at the edge of the dirt road, a few feet away from me. He's wearing his camo cap low on his forehead, so that his eyes are shadowed completely. "Oh, hey, Nate." "Sara, is that you? Why are you bald? I didn't think you were that old yet." I jolt my head back, surprised at his sudden rudeness. "And I didn't think you were that blind. I have hair, Nate. What's with the jerk comment?" Nate shrugs. "Everyone's going to think you're a man. That is, until they see what a wimp you are." I stop cold. My blood starts to simmer in my stomach. After all these years, he remembers how to push my buttons. I just don't remember him being so blatant about it. The crowd of people around us stop to listen. I shove a box of IV bags into place, then walk toward him, stopping a few steps away. He doesn't move, but I notice he ducks his head just a bit. "Do you feel tough now?" I ask him in a low voice. "Bullying me in front of everyone? What's wrong with you?" "I'll always feel tough next to you," he says in a loud voice. I roll my eyes. "Get out of here, Nate." I spin around and start unloading the cart again. I lift a 72-hour backpack kit to toss it in the back of the truck, but it catches on the hitch and falls to the ground. Nate lets out a wicked laugh. It sounds forced, though, not natural. "Are you sure you don't need a man to help you with that?" Nate taunts. My heart pounds violently. Why is he doing this? I fold my arms across my chest and look at him. Even if I did, I don't see one. I hear a few low snickers around me. "And now I'm done talking to you," I say, as I pick up the 72-hour kit and toss it in the truck. "But I need a doctor," Nate calls loudly. "Oh, wait, that can't be you because you don't have a degree yet." I clench my teeth. He knew exactly where to get me next. And then it dawns on me. I outrank him now. "Get out of my sight, Nate Gibbs. That's an order." Nate scoffs. "I'm not listening to you." "Okay, I'll just page the MPs. Maybe they'll convince you." "Fine," says Nate. "I'm out." Then he pivots and jogs away. I turn back to my loading, but I'm fumbling with everything now since my hands are shaking with fury. I hear the crowd shuffle and get back to their business. I take a deep breath to slow my heart rate. "I thought they were friends," a male voice says. "Why would anyone be friends with that jerk?" says a female voice. Then Randy pulls up with a new cart of supplies. "I was wrong about there being one more load. It looks like I'll have to go back for another." I don't respond as I continue to load boxes and boxes of gauze on top of each other. "Sara, you okay?" says Randy. "I'm fine," I manage to say. I slide in a box of prosthetics, secretly promising myself that if Nate ever needed one, I wouldn't help him. "Do you want me to stay and help you, or go get the last load?" Again. I know he's trying to be funny, but I can't even get myself to smile. Then I notice a tall, familiar figure standing beside me. Oh, great. Did Jack hear everything? "I'll help her here," says Jack. "Why don't you go get the last load?" "Oh, Randy stammers. He glances between Jack and me, looking confused. Yes, sir." He spins around and jogs back to relief. Without a word, Jack starts picking up random boxes and shoving them into any open space. I know he's going for the heavy ones first, and it bothers me. I don't need help, Jack, I say to him. I know you don't, Jack says, as he continues to lift and shove boxes into awkward gaps. I watch him hold them up above his head and slide them in with ease. There's no way I could pack the truck like he is, but I still could have done it on my own. In silence, the two of us load the truck until all the carts are empty. Then Jack turns to face me. You're going to write a report on your so-called friend, right? I groan and roll my head. So you did hear everything. If I had heard him say one of those things to you firsthand, there's no way he would have made it to the second, Jack says, his voice firm. Then he sighs and bows his head. He closes his eyes and pulls both his temples with his fingertips. A private came and told me. I roll my head again. Fabulous. She said you handled him really well, Jack says, looking back at me again. I shrug with indifference. Nate's harmless. Jack throws me a baffled look. That's not what I would call him. I grimace and look out at the soldiers passing by. Jack rubs his hands from my shoulders down my arms, in a way that's starting to feel familiar. Hey, he says gently, coaxing me to look at him. I've had friends turn on me too. He was my friend last night. It doesn't make any sense. He takes both my hands in his and squeezes them. I'm sorry. Thank you, I say, squeezing his hands in return. I'll see you soon, he says. Then he turns and strides down the dirt path. Chapter 25. Conjecture, Conviction. I look out my side window streaked with mud. Our small enclosed troop transport bus is not giving us a very smooth ride. I can hear the small rocks of the dirt road skipping and clanking beneath us. My insides feel the same way those rocks sound. I got so cozy at Big Rock. A shower, a flush toilet, and indoor medical facility. I've already forgotten what the wild, harsh world is like, and it's only been a little over a month since I was in it. I frown at the passing sycamores, which really isn't fair to them. They're my only comfort at the moment. I glance over the several rows ahead of me. Nearly every person is sound asleep. I twist my neck to look at the back rows and find the same scene. Blast! I wish I could sleep. But I can't keep my mind on anything but my wretched, cruel, long-lost friend. What is his problem? I recall only 2 times in our dating history when Nate ever said anything mean. On purpose, that is. With clarity, I still remember his biting words. You think you're so perfect. Get away from me. I remember how he had apologized profusely, and then his sobs. Brown rejected me. Then more biting words come to memory from a different time. I don't need or want you anymore. Then later, infinite apologies and sobs. My parents are getting a divorce. Thinking of these memories, I begin to pity Nate a little, which is definitely not what I want to do at the moment. But even compared to these 2 memories, there was something different about this morning. Even if Nate is deeply upset about something, publicly humiliating me on purpose is definitely out of character for him. Something else must be going on. I shake my head. Nothing makes sense. And to make matters worse, Jack had felt sorry for me. I groan internally. This is almost more than I can bear. Abruptly, our vehicle dips into an enormous pothole. Several heads in front of me pop up in surprise. Blast! This is such a long bus ride. Who's the letter for? Says a low voice. I whirl around and find Jack sitting right next to me. Jack! I gasp. Do you ever announce yourself before assuming conversation? I can't count how many times you have nearly given me a heart attack. Jack's eyes shine with innocence. I've been sitting here a long time, Sara. Well, have you ever thought about making a little noise? I ask. He has a conniving look on his face. I've been trained to be a spy since I was 10 years old. Sneakiness comes natural to me. I crack a smile. Fine then, I'll just plan on restarting my heart every once in a while. I'll make sure that happens, Jack says with a grin. That dirty window must be very interesting to you because you've been staring at it for quite a while now. I rub a palm over my forehead. I've just been thinking. So, who's the letter for? He asks again. I stare down at the letter resting on my lap. It's only halfway finished since my thoughts of Nate interrupted my progress. My parents, I reply, neatly folding the paper on my lap. Just thinking of them makes me homesick. You didn't read it, did you? I ask, turning to face him. Jack raises his eyebrows. I wasn't supposed to read it? My eyes swell with disbelief, but Jack just chuckles. I didn't read it, Sara. I would never do that. You better not, I tease. Jack smirks. Yes, Captain. He rotates his body slightly toward me and places one hand on my knee. How are you, Sara? He asks, his tone sincere. Well, I'm as good as a girl going to battle can be. Jack scrutinizes my face like he's looking for answers to different questions. I just want you to know how glad I am that we have you for our doctor. I have every confidence in you, he says solemnly. And I have every confidence in you as our leader. Jack's lips curl up into a tiny smile. Thank you. He scrutinizes my face again. You know, even with your hair, he starts to say, but stops as a spiky brunette head pops up over the back of our seat. Oh, hey, Lexy. I cock my head back to look at her more directly. Hi, she says with a mischievous grin. Her arms are perched on top of our backrest, with her chin resting on her hands. She moves her eyes back and forth between Jack and me. Jack turns to look at her too. Hey, pilot, where's your plane? Very funny, Jack, says Lexy. Didn't I hear you say once that you would never be caught dead driving on the ground? Jack jeers. Again, not funny, Lexy retorts. Jack smiles, looking amused. Are you excited to be head of aviation, Lexy? I ask. Absolutely, and my very own plane is waiting for me at Bridgetown, she cries cheerfully. In other words, Jack says to me on the side, the Army has a plane in Bridgetown that she can borrow. No, sir, Lexy exclaims. The plane is mine. Jack throws me a sly glance. Lexy tends to think whatever she lays her hands on becomes her own property. Lexy smacks Jack's arm with the back of her fist. Jack's only reaction is a delighted expression. Hey, Oxford, a male soldier calls from the back of the bus. We're taking bets. Lexy twists her head back to look at him. Bets on what? While Lexy is distracted, Jack whispers to me. Have you said anything to Lexy about us? I told her we were together last night, but that's all. Do you want to tell her? I don't. So, Sara, Lexy says, turning her attention to me. Is Jack a good kisser? I give Jack a questioning look. Does he not want me to say anything? Oh, Sara, Lexy sings in a high voice. Please tell me if you like Jack's lips. I blush deeply and Jack sighs, facing forward again. I throw Jack another questioning look, but he just returns it with one of his own. Oh, I stammer. Jack's eyes get big as his puzzled look becomes more pronounced. Oh, don't be shy to admit it, Lexy ribs. I found his lips to be quite pleasing myself. I raise my eyebrows, glancing between the two of them. Jack sighs again, looking quickly at me, then glaring at Lexy. What's that look for? Lexy feigns innocence. Jack turns to me with a wry smile. Lexy and I have never kissed. Lexy smacks Jack in the arm again. Don't spoil the fun, she complains. But I guess it's true. Jack only goes for the movie star type. Jack furrows his brow. What? Sara looks like a movie star, Lexy yells at him, as if he had just missed the most obvious thing in the world. A few heads twist to look back at us. Lexy shoots them an annoyed look and motions with both her hands for them to turn around again. Jack is grinning now. I see your point. But movie stars are fake. Sara is real, Jack says, glancing at me. Lexy's mouth forms a silent, oh. I really hope I'm not blushing again. Are you two finished? Not in the least, Lexy says. You still haven't told me if Jack's a good kisser or not. I look at Jack again, but he only gives me an apologetic smile. I'm not sure. But hey, wait a minute, Lexy exclaims, smacking Jack in the arm again. That entire time you were together, you didn't even kiss her? Jack gives me another apologetic smile, but says nothing. You are such a chicken, Lexy taunts, smacking Jack's arm with every emphasized word. Lexy, if you do that one more time, I will dismember your wrist, says Jack. Yeah, Lexy, chill out. We kissed, okay? Lexy gasps dramatically. You didn't want to say anything? Why wouldn't you say anything? Lexy cries, smacking Jack yet again. Jack turns in his seat to face her. All right, hand the wrist over, he says. Ha! Lexy shrills. You wouldn't hurt a fly if you didn't have to. Then she leans in toward me, blocking the side of her mouth with her hand, as if she's telling me a secret. Jack here really is quite soft, she whispers loudly. Is that why you hurt your hand every time you hit me? Jack banters. You know, you do hurt my hand. How rude of you, Lexy jeers. I crack a smile, but Jack looks like he's actually getting annoyed. He sighs and faces forward again. I set my hand on his leg. Jack, I'm sorry I told her, I say. He turns a sharp head to look at me, placing a hand on his chest. You thought I didn't want you to say anything? Well, yes. No, I could care less. Why didn't you say anything then? I ask. He shifts toward me, because I thought you didn't want to. Lexy bursts into laughter and claps her hands. This is so great! Jack and I both chuckle as Lexy continues to hoot. Then Lexy claps her hands twice and holds her straight fingers together. Okay, friends. Communication, it's the first rule to a good relationship. Jack and I both groan in unison, but Lexy just laughs some more. You know, it's a good thing you came along, Sara, Lexy announces. Jack hasn't looked at anyone since... But before she can finish, Jack turns his whole body toward her, flashing her a blatant warning look. Lexy jolts her head back a bit. Since who knows when? Jack shifts again so he's facing me. He purses his lips, looking a little embarrassed. He takes my hand, interlocking his fingers with mine, and sets his other hand on top. Enough talk, he scolds, glancing at Lexy. We're reaching Eagle soon. Oh, thanks for the buzzkill, Colonel, Lexy says. She trills her lips and pops back into her seat. What's an eagle? I ask. You don't know? Jack says, surprised. I guess not. When we meet Captain Barnett at Bridgetown, I'll have to make sure he always keeps the meds in the loop. Captain Barnett is the leader of the company? Yes, and my best friend. Really? I'd love to meet him. Jack smiles. He wants to meet you too. Anyway, intelligence has satellite pictures of a couple Serbian helicopters departing Eagles Beach, and some other pictures of 15 people on land who they believe are spies. They don't look Serbian, though. What do they look like? I ask. Jack shakes his head. They didn't get a close enough take. And since we're passing through Eagle, I'd like to catch them, and I believe we can. Did the satellite see any vehicles they have? I ask. No, that's the other thing. We assume someone from the inside plans to bring them inland, Jack explains. I stifle a moan. More traitors to deal with. Fantastic. The good news is, says Jack, sounding more earnest now, aviation got their exact GPS location and intercepted a phone call. I raise my eyebrows in surprise. That was me, Lexy calls out from behind us. I got the GPS location. Thank you for eavesdropping, Lexy, Jack says over his shoulder. Do you mind? Sorry, plugging my ears now. Go on, I say to Jack, anxious to hear some good news. They discovered which direction they're headed. And, he lifts a finger, we know they are not expecting a vehicle for another 10 hours. So they've got to be in these trees somewhere. He gazes out the window as if they will pop out right then. I look out too. The sycamores are long gone, and we're now driving through a thick, lush forest of red oaks. Do you think they'll be expecting us? I ask, turning back to face Jack. Regardless, we'll catch them, Jack says. They'll be surrounded on all sides. Jack pulls out his binoculars from his backpack and peers through the lenses. The chatter on the bus slows and softens to sporadic mutterings. Several others pull out their binoculars also. What would you like me to do when we get there? I ask Jack. He's still surveying the forest as he responds. You just hang tight and protect yourself. It's possible you'll be plenty busy later. And after we catch them, then what? I ask. We interrogate them, he says calmly. I sigh heavily. Jack lowers his lenses and turns to face me. He looks troubled and a little irritated. I know there isn't a better way, I tell him. And of course you know best, but... I shake my head. I still don't like it. What if it turns into a hands-on brawl and we lose them? Jack nods. That's possible. But Sara, we've got a lot more men and a lot more weapons. A lot more women, too, I add, trying to break the sudden tension I feel from him. Jack smiles easily. Yes, naturally. Even though I know Jack has a plausible plan, I can't help but feel edgy. It's so easy for things to go wrong and fall apart. My blood whirls and spins and slaps against my insides. I am not ready to have this kind of life again. Who's going to do the interrogating, I wonder? I'll start, Jack says. Lexy and other special forces will help too. Our various leaders know my plan, and it's going to work, he says with a nod of confidence. I'm sure you're right, I agree. It's a good thing you're a lethal weapon. Jack tries to smile, but it turns into more of a frown. Jack, I say, placing my hand on his. I trust you. Jack's expression grows soft, and he just stares at me with those beautiful brown eyes. How ironic it is that this kind-hearted man has a body and mind trained to kill. A walking lethal weapon, as all special forces are. How can a man this dangerous seem so good? And that concludes Chapter 25. I do hope you enjoyed it. I do hope you come back for more next week. I hope while most of you are stuck at home, you can escape into a different world and find joy in it. And I hope that it's Sara's war. Stay safe, everyone. Stay healthy. And I hope you come back next week for Chapter 26, which is Pull Out the Guns. Until then, take good care.